My husband got into a car accident on the way to the seaside hotel with his white moonlight. The doctor said he has no sensation below the chest and will be confined to a wheelchair and hospital bed for the rest of his life. The white moonlight only scraped a little skin and cried, saying she has suffered a tremendous injustice. I stood in the emergency hallway and couldn't help but laugh. Half an hour ago, I just made an appointment with the lawyer, planning to take the evidence of his infidelity and make him leave with nothing. Now the evidence couldn't be used in time, and the person is already ruined. When Joe Yanley woke up, the first thing he asked was, "Where's Running? Is she okay?" The hospital room fell silent for a moment. The attending physician glanced at me and spoke softly. "Miss Lynn has minor abrasions. The wounds have been treated." Joe Yanley let out a sigh of relief. His pale lips moved, and surprisingly, he smiled. He had not yet realized that he felt nothing below his chest. He just stared at the ceiling, his eyes filled with gratitude. "She's fine. That's all that matters." I sit on the edge of the bed, my fingertips slowly gliding over the examination report. Quadriplegia. 4 words. Black ink on white paper, concise and stark. If it were in the past, I would probably have collapsed at this moment, clutching the doctor's sleeve to ask if there was any way out, crying until I couldn't stand. But now, I just feel like God has finally opened his eyes. 3 hours ago, the traffic police called me, saying that my husband's car hit the guardrail on the mountain road, and he was sent to the hospital. When I rushed over, Lynn Running was being helped by a nurse, sitting at the emergency entrance, draped in Joe Yanley's suit jacket, crying with her shoulders shaking. When she saw me, she timidly called out, "Sister-in-law." Immediately, she covered her mouth again, and the tears fell even more fiercely. Yanley Gu was hurt like this just to protect me. So please don't blame him, and don't blame me either. We just wanted to go out and clear our minds. He's been burdened with too many worries lately. With every word she uttered, she had to glance towards the group of reporters. In that moment, she appeared pure, fragile, and kind. Even the nurse handing her a tissue looked at her twice. I ignored her. I just lowered my head to look at my phone. The location record shows that the destination before Joe Yanley's car accident was a couple's hotel in Nanwan. The person who booked the room is Lynn Running, and the payer is Joe Yanley. Room type: Ocean View Circular Bed Suite. I just sent the screenshot to the lawyer. The operating room lights have gone out. At the moment Joe Yanley was pushed out, Lynn Running rushed over faster than I did. "Yanley Gu," she cried heartbreakingly, her left hand guarding the newly bought limited edition bag, afraid of being knocked by the crowd. Now, he is awake. He looked at me and finally realized something was wrong, his brow furrowing. "Non-G. Why can't I feel my legs?" I put the report in front of him. "The doctor said you won't be able to stand up again." His face paled little by little. Outside the ward, Lynn Running pushed the door open and looked at him with reddened eyes. Joe Yanley reached out, intending to grab her. "Running, don't be afraid. I will take responsibility." Lynn Running froze at the doorway, her gaze shifting from his face to the legs under the quilt that showed no reaction. Her lips trembled, and she took half a step back. Joe Yanley also saw this retreat. The light in his eyes trembled slightly. Lynn Running quickly squeezed out some tears. She covered her wrist and choked out, "Yanley Gu, you should take care of your injury first." I was also startled, and the doctor told me to go home and rest. Joe Yanley was taken aback. "You're leaving?" Lynn Running looked at me and, timidly, spoke up. "Sister-in-law is here to take care of you. It's not appropriate for me to stay. There are already reporters outside. They'll write whatever they want, and it will affect Joe's stock price." So understanding, she quickly cleared herself of any responsibility and pushed the burden of caring for the patient back onto me. Joe Yanley fell silent for a moment, his tone softening. "All right. You go back first. My supplementary card is with you, so buy whatever you want. Don't skimp on yourself." Lynn Running's eyes brightened for a moment. Then she shook her head with red-rimmed eyes. "How can I spend your money?" As soon as she finished speaking, her phone in her bag rang. The screen lit up, and the shopping app popped up a notification. "The order has been shipped, amounting to $89,800. I looked at her, and she looked at me. The ward was so quiet it felt a bit absurd. Zhou Yanli didn't see, but still spoke for her. Nanji, if Renéing is timid, don't scare her. I laughed. I didn't say a word. A familiar impatience arose in his brows and eyes. Your face is already scary enough. In the past, hearing such words would make me feel uneasy the whole night. Now I just find it amusing. His parents passed away early, and at the age of 18. He moved out from his relative's home with only 3,000 yuan in his bank account. I lived with him in a basement without heating, shared 12 meals of instant noodles with him for a week, accompanied him in putting on a smile for clients, and helped him move samples in the pouring rain. When he first failed to secure funding and ended up with a bleeding stomach, it was me who dragged him to the hospital. He got his first 10 million order and cried in my arms, saying he would never let me down in this lifetime. Later, the Zhou family grew bigger, and he sat in the top floor office, beginning to complain about my directness, my lack of gentleness, and how I scrutinized the company accounts too closely. Then, Lin Runing returned to the country. He and she appeared in the same photo for the first time at a charity gala. He lowered his head to fasten the necklace for her, his expression so gentle it felt unfamiliar to me. I didn't cause a scene. I hired a private detective, reviewed the driving records, checked the hotel records, and organized the transfer details. I even drafted the divorce agreement. I just need to wait for tomorrow when the lawyer formally submits the documents, and then let him and his true love roll out of my life. Who would have thought he would crash himself into a wreck a day early? After Lin Runing left, Zhou Yanli finally felt scared. He grasped my wrist tightly, his knuckles cold. Nan Ji, you know so many experts. You must have a way, right? I lowered my gaze at him. The doctor has made it very clear. That's impossible. His voice trembled. Back then, I had nothing, and you stayed with me until today. Now I've only injured my leg, and you can still save me. I slowly withdrew my hand. I will arrange for a caregiver for you. His pupils contracted. What do you mean? I smoothed out the corner of the blanket for him, my tone gentle. What I mean is, starting today, you need to learn to accept care. Suddenly, Lin Runing's voice came from outside the door. Sister-in-law, I shouldn't have to bear the compensation for Yan Li's accident. Right. Lin Runing returned, tears still hanging on her eyelashes. As soon as she stepped inside, she spoke with great grievance. Sister-in-law, I'm just a passenger. The car was driven by brother Yanli. People online are already criticizing me. Can you please issue a statement saying this has nothing to do with me? Zhou Yanli immediately looked at me. Nan Ji, make a statement. I unlocked my phone and placed the initial report from the traffic police in front of him. The in-car monitoring shows that before the accident, you took one hand off the steering wheel to help Lin Runing pick up the earring that had fallen at her feet, and your speed was exceeding the limit. Zhou Yanli's expression changed slightly. Lin Runing's crying suddenly stopped. I continued. You too. One distracted while driving, and the other knowing the mountain road was dangerous yet bending down to look for an earring. How the responsibility is divided, the traffic police will decide. Lin Runing's small face turned pale. Sister-in-law, how can you say that about me? That earring was a gift from Yan Li Go. I can't bear to lose it, can't bear to throw it away. Then let's return it together. I opened my bag and placed a stack of documents on the bedside. Miss Lin, in the past 2 years, the house, car, bags, jewelry that Zhou Yanli gave you, as well as the money you spent using his supplementary card, totals 13,760,000. She suddenly looked up. Zhou Yanli was also anxious. Shen Nanji, are you investigating her? What I'm investigating is the couple's joint assets. I looked at him and spoke clearly, word by word. I have the right to recover the large gifts you gave to a third party during your marriage. Lin Runing's lips trembled. I am innocent with Yan Li Go. So stop using a third party to humiliate me. I handed her the hotel reservation. Seaside round bed suite. Check-in at 8 tonight. You booked the room, and he paid for it. Doesn't innocent burn your tongue when you say it? Her tears finally couldn't be held back. Zhou Yanli struggled to prop himself up on his arms, trying to sit up, but his lower body felt completely unresponsive. He tried several times, his face pale and drawn. I thoughtfully pressed the call button. The nurse came in to help him adjust the bed. He lost face in front of outsiders, his eyes red and frightening. Shen Nanji, did you really have to make me uncomfortable at a time like this? I smiled faintly. When you took her to the hotel, did you even think about how I would feel? The nurse lowered her head, her lips struggling to turn downward. Lin Running sensed that the situation was amiss and suddenly grabbed my sleeve. Sister-in-law. I really didn't mean to disrupt you. I've known Brother Yanli since we were kids. He said you are too domineering, and that the home feels so cold. I just feel sorry for him. I've heard this before. Every green tea loves to turn an affair into redemption. I lowered my head and slowly pried her fingers apart. If you feel sorry for him, then you should stay and take care of him. She froze completely. Zhou Yanli on the hospital bed suddenly brightened his eyes. Running, are you willing to stay? Lin Running looked at him, her fragile expression almost cracking. She fell silent for 3 seconds. Then suddenly held her forehead. I'm feeling really dizzy. Maybe my concussion hasn't healed yet. But my legs slowly moved toward the door. Lin Running ultimately left. Before leaving, she bought a bouquet of flowers for Zhou Yanli, costing 99 yuan, with a card that said, "Wishing you a speedy recovery. I will always bless you." The card was a supplementary card of Zhou Yanli's, which had been obtained through spending money. Zhou Yanli stared at that card for a long time. I sat next to him, leisurely peeling an apple. The apple peel broke 3 times. So I simply put down the knife. He suddenly whispered, "Running is just too scared. She has been well protected by her family since childhood and can't bear such scenes. Don't target her. When I get better, I will give you an explanation." I raised my head. How do you plan to get better? His lips were tightly pressed. I gently reminded him. The doctor said your nerve damage is severe, and it's very difficult to even regain self-care. Zhou Yanli closed his eyes, his chest heaving violently. He cherished dignity above all. In the past, he would ensure that his cufflinks matched his tie clip when he went out. Now, even turning over required assistance. And that felt worse than death. But I don't feel heartbroken. I only think of the rainy night 3 months ago. That night was my birthday. I prepared a table full of dishes and waited from 7 to midnight. When Zhou Yanli returned home, there was a strange scent of perfume at the collar of his shirt. He placed the gift box on the table, his tone dismissive. There's something urgent at the company. I opened the box and found a silk scarf inside. It was the same style and color that Lin Running had just posted about on her Moments 2 hours ago. She captioned, "Does anyone remember that my favorite color is misty blue?" I handed my phone to him. He glanced at it, and there was not a hint of panic on his face. "Nanji, you shouldn't always think so poorly of others." I asked him, "What about this silk scarf?" He frowned. The assistant bought it all in one go. Later I found out that the assistant was on leave that day, and Zhou Yanli personally accompanied Lin Running for 3 hours at the mall. He bought her a silk scarf and brought back the same one for me. As if a bit of warmth could silence my complaints. He probably forgot. The original financial system of the Zhou family was constructed by me. Every unusual expense of his, as long as I wanted to see it, wouldn't escape my notice. In the afternoon, the lawyer arrived at the hospital. Zhou Yanli was stunned upon seeing the divorce agreement. "Shen Nanji, you want to divorce me?" I handed him the pen. "Sign here." He stared at the terms in the agreement, his voice suddenly rising, walking away empty-handed. "Are you crazy?" I looked at him and said softly, "I gave you dignity." He was just about to speak when the ward door was pushed open from the outside. The financial director of the Zhou family stood at the door, sweating profusely. "President Zhou. Miss Lin has maxed out the supplementary card." The financial director's surname was Chen, and he had been with Zhou Yanli for 6 years. Once he saw me, he always carried a hint of a vague disdain. After all, in Zhou Yanli's words, I was merely the wife at home who managed too much, had a tough temper, and couldn't get by without him. Now Director Chen stood by the hospital bed, his forehead covered in sweat. "Mr. Zhou, Miss Lin bought 2 watches, a set of jewelry, and also booked a plane ticket to Singapore within half an hour." Zhou Yanli's face was pale with an odd hue. "Call her." Director Chen whispered. I tried. But it's powered off. I took a sip of warm water. Lin Runing was quite fast. Knowing that Zhou Yanli was disabled, she first cleared out the available credit limit before flying abroad to avoid trouble. Unfortunately, she was thinking too simply. I turned to look at the lawyer. The lawyer understood and handed another document to Director Chen. Freeze the secondary card and retain the transaction records. Prepare the civil recovery materials simultaneously. Director Chen instinctively glanced at Zhou Yanli. Zhou Yanli gritted his teeth. Who told you to listen to her? I smiled. The company's financial seal is in my hands. He was taken aback. I kindly explained. 3 years ago, you entrusted me with some management authority to reassure the investors. Later, you got caught up in romance and forgot to take it back. Director Chen immediately bowed his head. I'll take care of it right away. After the person left, only the two of us remained in the ward. Zhou Yanli's gaze at me finally filled with unfamiliar fear. Nan Ji, were you prepared all along? Yes. Have you been waiting for me to make a mistake? I nearly laughed. Zhou Yanli, it is you who has been making mistakes all along. He paused in his breathing. I opened my photo album on my phone, showing him one by one. A photo of Lin Runing moving into the apartment under his name. A photo of him accompanying her for a health checkup. A photo of him coming out of her house in the early morning. He sent her a screenshot of the transaction note saying baby, buy candy. He used to say that I was too suspicious. But when the evidence was right in front of him, he fell silent again. After a long time, he finally spoke in a hushed voice. I had feelings for her, but I never thought about abandoning you. I looked up at him. Should I thank you then? He frowned. Don't be so sharp. I've always been this way. When you loved me, you said I was clear-headed and resolute. After you changed your mind, you said I was sharp and aggressive. He was so blocked that he couldn't say a word. In the evening, the caregiver arrived. I filtered the lowest prices on the home service platform and chose the one that looked the least talkative. Sister Chen. Sister Chen was in her 50s. Loud-voiced and quick in her movements. Upon entering, she first asked, is the patient very temperamental? If so, it's fine. I've taken care of more difficult ones. Zhou Yanli's face turned dark. I handed the contract to Sister Chen. Take care according to the doctor's advice. Don't indulge him. Sister Chen laughed. Don't worry. I can't stand patients who act like they're the boss. She turned around and lifted the blanket to check the catheter. Zhou Yanli's whole body was stiff with tremors as he shouted. Shen Nanji, get her out. I picked up my bag and walked to the door. President Zhou, just try to adapt. Sister Chen's loud voice came from behind me. Why are you shouting? It's time to turn over. Early the next morning, before I even arrived at the hospital, I received a call from Zhou Yanli. His voice was hoarse, laden with the disarray of a sleepless night. Nan Ji, change that nurse. I sat in the car, looking at the sky that had just brightened outside. Did she violate the rules? She fed me millet porridge, and there were ginger shreds in it. The doctor said you can eat. I won't eat ginger. I laughed. Once upon a time, I didn't eat cilantro either. Lin Runing loves it. And you forget to mention it every time you order. The other end of the phone fell silent. He changed his tone and lowered his voice to plead with me. I know you hate me, but in this situation, could you please stop tormenting me? No. I hung up the phone. When I arrived at the ward, Sister Chen was wiping his face. Zhou Yanli's hair was disheveled. Stubble had appeared on his face, and he looked so haggard that he no longer bore any resemblance to the imposing CEO of the Zhou family. He saw me, and his eyes briefly lit up before sinking again. Have you seen enough? Not yet. Sister Chen interjected from the side. Ms. Shen. The patient rang the bell a total of 23 times last night, 17 of which had no care needs, and 6 were cursing. I suggest we charge more. I nodded. Increase it as per the contract. Zhou Yanli, anger rising in his chest, said, what do you take me for? Sister Chen rolled her eyes. A patient. What else could it be? I almost couldn't hold back my laughter. Zhou Yanli stared at me intently. Shen Nanji, what exactly do you want? I pulled out the chair and sat down. First, get back the money Lin Runing took. Then we can discuss the divorce. She has no money. Then let her be in debt. His pupils constricted. I placed the court documents in front of him. The apartment, car, and jewelry under her name can be recovered as much as possible. The portion she squandered will be turned into debt with a request for long-term deductions. Zhou Yanli became anxious. Do you really have to drive her to death? I looked at him. My tone flat. When you mortgaged the house my parents left behind to save the Zhou family, did you ever consider whether I would be pushed to death? His face turned pale. That was the deepest wound in my heart. After my parents died in a car accident, the old house they left behind became my only longing. Zhou Yanli failed in his business venture and asked me for help one more time. He said that as soon as the Zhou family recovered, the first thing he would do is to buy back the house. I believed him. Later, the house could not be redeemed, but he bought Lin Runing a seaside apartment. From the balcony of that apartment, I could see the sea that I once wanted to show my parents the most. I lowered my head to sort through the documents. You owe me more than she owes you. Zhou Yanli, a layer of red rose in his eyes. Nan Ji, I can compensate you. What do you have to compensate with now? He opened his mouth but couldn't make a sound. Suddenly, a sound of high heels echoed at the door. Lin Runing actually came back. She was wearing sunglasses, followed by two movers. Yanli go. I'm here to take what belongs to me. Zhou Yanli straightened up upon seeing her, but he had no strength below the waist. He barely lifted his shoulders before heavily falling back onto the pillow. Ruaning, where have you been? I called you a lot. Lin Ruaning took off her sunglasses. Her eyes swollen just enough. I was cyberbullied and I'm afraid it might affect you. So I can only hide away. After she finished speaking, her gaze kept drifting towards the safe in the corner of the ward. That was set by Zhou Yanli's assistant on short notice, containing his personal seal and a few contracts. I crossed my arms and quietly watched her performance. Lin Runing quickly walked to the bedside and held Zhou Yanli's hand. Yanli Gu, you will protect me, right? Sister-in-law wants to sue me and take back the things you gave me. Those were all willingly given by you. After all, Zhou Yanli's voice was hoarse. I will talk to her. Then the house doesn't need to be returned either. I'll find a way. What about the car? Well, and the money on my card. The court won't freeze it. Right. I'm a girl, and I don't feel safe out there. Zhou Yanli fell silent for a moment. Lin Runing immediately burst into tears. Do you think I'm being too pragmatic? But I have no choice. You're hospitalized. The Zhou family is in chaos, and your sister-in-law is so fierce. I have to leave myself a way out. As soon as her words were spoken, the warmth in Zhou Yanli's eyes faded a bit. I curved my lips. The good show has finally reached the main act. Lin Runing was still oblivious, continuing to stab at his heart. Yan Ligay, you have to understand me. I'm still young. I can't spend my whole life in the hospital. Our relationship is so beautiful. Let's not let these mundane matters taint it. Okay. Zhou Yanli's fingers trembled slightly. What do you mean? Lin Runing bit her lip. I just think we need to take some time to calm down. The ward fell silent. Sister Chen stood beside them with a cup of water in hand, her face filled with the thrill of the spectacle. Zhou Yanli stared at Lin Runing, his voice icy. I became this way just to save you. Tears fell from Lin Runing's eyes again. But I was hurt too. My wrist still hurts, and I often have nightmares at night. You can't think the whole world owes you just because you were hurt more severely. Zhou Yanli swallowed hard, his face looking extremely bad. In the past, he was most susceptible to Lin Runing's act. Whenever she cried, he felt like the whole world was bullying her. Now that the knife has pierced into his own body, he finally knows the pain. I couldn't be bothered to look any longer and raised my hand to let the security in. Miss Lin, the moving company can leave. There is nothing of yours here. Lin Runing suddenly looked at me. Sister-in-law, on what grounds? I handed her the court's preservation notice. On this basis, her face instantly drained of color. Zhou Yanli also saw the amount above. 13,760,000. Lin Runing's lips trembled, finally revealing a glimpse of her true self. Zhou Yanli, do you care or not? Zhou Yanli did not speak. Perhaps he wanted to intervene, but right now, Even lifting his hand was a struggle. Seeing his silence, Lin Runing's softness finally shattered completely. When you were pursuing me back then, you weren't this pathetic. You said you would protect me for a lifetime. And now a piece of paper from your wife has scared you away. Zhou Yanli's face turned ashen. Sister Chen muttered softly. Oh dear. This little girl really has a sharp tongue. Lin Runing glared at her. Who do you think you are to speak about me? Sister Chen slammed the cup down on the table. Her voice even louder. I'm just a worker getting paid. You're using someone else's husband's money. And you seem pretty confident about it. I gave Sister Chen a thumbs up. Lin Runing was so angry her face contorted. She pointed at me and insulted. Shen Nanji. Don't be so smug. Zhou Yanli has long stopped loving you. He told me that being with you is exhausting every day. He said you lack femininity. That you're so shrewd it's frightening. That all you care about is managing the accounts and the company. And even in bed, you give off a feel of a calculator. Zhou Yanli suddenly closed his eyes. I had no reaction. I had already heard these words in the recording. Lin Runing saw my calmness and became even more furious. Do you think he likes me for any other reason? Because I know how to act cute. Because I admire him. Because I make him feel like a man. And you. All you do is remind him of his poverty. Reminding him of how pathetic he used to be. This time, Zhou Yanli finally spoke up. That's enough. Lin Runing shouted. I must say it. Zhou Yanli. What good does it do for you to give me a cold shoulder now? You're paralyzed. Do you still expect me to serve you for eating, drinking, and everything else? The hospital room was silent. The last glimmer of light in Zhou Yanli's eyes was extinguished completely. He stared at her. His voice so faint it was frightening. So you never thought about being with me? Lin Runing sneered. What can you give me? Love from a wheelchair? Or vows by the sickbed? Yanli. Let's be realistic. I looked at Zhou Yanli's expression, feeling quite pleased. He used to regard Lin Runing as the moonlight that had fallen to earth. Now the moonlight is stained with mud and finds him filthy. Lin Runing was still shouting when the security guard asked her to leave. Shen Nanji. Don't think that you've won. The person he has always loved in his heart is me. I walked to the door and smiled, reminding her. Then you must hold on to this love tightly. The debt notice will arrive at your house soon. She paused, turned to rush over, but was stopped by the security guard. On what grounds do you make me pay it back? That money has long been spent. When it's all spent, you'll pay it back slowly. I looked at her, enunciating each word. Starting today, your salary will be proportionally deducted as soon as it comes in. You can cry, you can make a fuss, or you can continue to play the innocent. I paused. Not a single penny will be lost. After Lin Runing left, Zhou Yanli remained silent for an entire day. Sister Chen tried to feed him, but he didn't open his mouth. Sister Chen wasn't soft on him, directly putting the bowl down. If you love to eat, then eat, the doctor said. If the nutrition can't keep up, it will be you who suffers. In the evening, I finished my company affairs and returned to the hospital room. Zhou Yanli finally spoke up. Nan Ji. I was wrong. I placed the computer on the table. His eyes were red. And his voice trembled. I used to think you would never leave me. You loved me too much. From the time I was 18 until now. You've endured so much hardship with me. I thought no matter what I did, you would always wait for me to return. My hands paused above the keyboard. He continued. When I was with Runing, I really felt at ease. She never asked me anything, just looked at me and smiled. But now I realize. She loves President Zhou. She loves money. She loves the glory I can give her. Nanji. Only you loved me when I had nothing. If this had been said a few years ago, I would probably have cried. Now I only feel noise. I closed the computer and looked at him. Zhou Yanli. You're still plotting to this day. He was taken aback. You say this only because you've realized that Lin Runing is unreliable and want to grab hold of me. He quickly shook his head. I didn't. I took out a voice recorder and pressed play. His voice came out from within. Shin Nanji is too clever. She will definitely take a bite out of me during the divorce. First, I'll transfer the Haicheng project to Runing's name. Once I've soothed her, I'll handle the assets. Lin Runing asked with a delicate tone. Can you bear to part with her? Zhou Yanli gave a faint smile. She has endured hardships with me, so I will give her some money. But Mrs. Zhou's position cannot be held forever by a woman who dampens the mood. As the recording finished, Zhou Yanli's face gradually turned gray. I put the voice recorder back into my bag. This is what you call not thinking of abandoning me. His lips trembled, and he struggled to form a complete sentence for a long time. I was just feeling like I was easily deceived. He closed his eyes, tears sliding from the corners to his temples. It was the first time I saw Zhou Yanli cry, but I felt no tremor in my heart. He is not worth it. I got up to leave. Suddenly, he mustered all his strength to grip the bed railing. His voice shattered. Nan Ji. Don't divorce. I beg you. Don't leave me behind. I looked back at him. Not leaving for now. A glimmer of hope just surfaced in his eyes. I slowly completed the second half of the sentence. I haven't had enough of your pain yet. Half a month later, Lin Roning's first payment was credited. 3,200 yuan. When the lawyer sent me the screenshot, I was in the Zhou family board meeting. The news of Zhou Yanli's paralysis had already been thoroughly exposed by the media. The company's stock price had fallen for 3 days, and several elderly board members were so anxious that their lips were blistering. In the past, they relied on their power alongside Zhou Yanli and always felt that I, Mrs. Zhou, was too meddlesome. Now Zhou Yanli lies on the hospital bed, and they finally remember that the person who signed the first major client back then was me. The one who stabilized the supply chain was also me. And the one who brought in the first life-saving investment was still me. Old Director Liu cleared his throat. Nan Ji. Yanli is currently in no condition. Someone in the company must step up to manage the situation. I opened the document. I can take over. There was a moment of hesitation in the conference room. Someone whispered. But what about President Zhou's side? I placed the power of attorney on the table. He signed it. That was 2 years ago when Zhou Yanli went abroad to pursue Lin Runing and temporarily entrusted his voting rights to me. He said at the time that it was just a formality and told me not to overthink it. I obeyed and didn't think too much. I just put the documents into the safe, waiting to take them out today. The meeting ended, and I became the temporary head of the Zhou family. Reporters gathered downstairs. I stood in front of the camera. My black suit crisp and my makeup appropriate. President Zhou will rest assured while recovering, and the company's operations will not be affected. Regarding President Zhou's substantial gifts to third parties during his marriage, I have entrusted a lawyer to handle the matter. That night, Lin Runing trended on social media. She cried in the live stream, claiming that she was just a victim, used by the wealthy couple to shift their conflicts. But netizens quickly dug up her bags, watches, cars, and houses. Each item corresponds to the payment records of the Zhou banquet. In the middle of her live stream, a text message for the bank card deduction popped up, clearly captured by the camera. The comments section exploded with laughter. Moonlight turns into a bill. My sister remembers to work and pay back every month. This relationship truly feels like torture. I scrolled to this point and finally burst out laughing. Zhou Yanli couldn't bring himself to laugh. After watching the news, he felt completely defeated. Nan Ji, I'm begging you, don't make this worse. I retorted. Do you care about her? He fell silent. I walked over to the hospital bed and took his phone away. Zhou Yanli, you should take better care of yourself. Sister Chen came in, holding a rehabilitation training sheet. Today we need to practice seated balance. Let's get started. Zhou Yanli's face flashed with fear. In the past, he couldn't even tolerate dust on his shoes. And now he had to be helped to sit up, repeatedly practicing the simplest movements. He gritted his teeth and asked me, "Will you stay with me?" I draped my jacket over my arm. "I've made an appointment with the lawyer." His voice trembled. "What are you going to do?" "Discuss your nursing home." Zhou Yanli was pierced by the words nursing home, leaving him unable to sleep all night. The next day I arrived at the hospital room, and his eyes were all bloodshot. "Shen Nanji, are you really going to send me away?" I placed a set of agency materials on the bedside. "I've currently looked at 3 places. The environment is ordinary. The costs are cheap, and they're far from the city. His face looked terrifyingly pale. I gave you so many years of marriage. And this is the ending you give me. I laughed. The marriage you gave me. I placed an old photograph in front of him. In the photo, a 20-year-old me is wearing a wrinkled white shirt, standing at the warehouse door, holding a box of samples in my arms. Next to me, Joe Yanley looks very thin, but his eyes are bright. That day, we secured our first order. He spun me around in his arms, saying that once his company was up and running, he would buy me the best house in the world. Later, he succeeded. He bought Lynn Runing a seaside apartment. I took out the second photo again. I signed in the hospital corridor late at night. That year he had a stomach hemorrhage, and I stayed by his bedside for 7 days. After that, I rushed out to discuss an investment. The third one, the mortgage contract for my parents' old house. Chapter 4. Apartment purchase contract of Lynn Runing. Chapter 5. His and Lynn Runing's hotel check-in records. One by one, they covered the small table beside the bed. Joe Yanley. The love we once had has long been spent by your own hands. He stared at those photos, tears streaming down his face. Nanji. I really know I was wrong. Knowing wrong and repaying a debt are two different things. I retrieved the information about the nursing home. Don't worry. I'm not going to send you there just yet. I've told you. I haven't seen enough. He shuddered. Suddenly, there was a commotion outside. Sister Chen poked her head in. Ms. Shen, there's a woman outside trying to break in. Her last name is Lin. Lin Runing is here again. This time she wasn't wearing designer brands. Her hair was messy, and her makeup was smudged. She rushed in, gripping a court summons in her hand. Shen Nanji, you've ruined my life. I corrected her. It was you who was too happy when you took the money, forgetting that one day you'd have to pay it back. She jumped towards Joe Yanley. Yanley Gu, please help me. I've lost my job. My house has been seized, and my parents want to cut ties with me. Joe Yanley looked at her. His gaze no longer filled with pity. Just go. Lin Runing was stunned. What did you say? I can't help you. And I don't want to help you. Her expression changed as she said fiercely. Joe Yanley. What are you acting all awake for now? It was you who said Shinanji was boring. It was you who said that sooner or later you would make me Mrs. Joe. Now that you're lying in bed, are you putting all the blame on me? Joe Yanley closed his eyes. Lin Runing smiled cruelly. That's right. Now you're not even a man. As those words fell, Joe Yanley's face turned as pale as a ghost. I thought he would explode in anger, would scream, would fight to keep at least a shred of his dignity. But he just lay there, staring blankly at the ceiling. Lin Runing still wanted to curse, but Sister Chin grabbed her arm. Enough. The creditor is right here. Why are you taking it out on the patient? The security guard rushed in and dragged her out. Her cries echoed through the hallway. Shin Nanji, I will not let you off. I didn't chase after them. The latter half of her life had already been tied down by that string of debts. Every month, the money would come in, and every month, it would be taken away. The more she wanted to live a dignified life, the harder she had to work to earn money. This hurt longer than a slap in the face. In the ward, Joe Yanley suddenly spoke up. Nan Ji. I deserve this. I didn't respond. He struggled to turn his gaze and looked at me. When will you divorce me? I picked up my bag. When I get tired of it. He stared blankly at me. I lowered my head to tidy up the cuffs. Sister Chen will continue to take care of you. Recovery will be done to the minimum standard. Meals will be eaten according to medical advice, and the costs will be deducted from your personal account. Any assets under your name that can be sold, I will handle according to the law, to cover the gaps in the company and marital property. He smiled bitterly. You're really ruthless. I looked at him and suddenly found it uninteresting. Once, I hated him to the point that I would wake up at night with pain in my chest. Now, looking at him lying in bed, stripped of dignity, true love, power, and the very things he once used to humiliate me, I find myself feeling only a sense of relief. Joe Yanley. The cruel one has always been you. He closed his eyes and did not argue anymore. 3 months later, Lin Runing's first apartment was auctioned off. She called me frantically, but I blocked all her numbers. 6 months later, Zhou Yanli was transferred to a suburban nursing home. There were clean beds, regular meals, compliant care, and radio exercises that began promptly at 6 every morning. Sister Chen was hired by me with a high salary to take care of my grandmother. Before she left, she patted the railing of Zhou Yanli's bed. Mr. Zhou, take good care of yourself. Don't trouble others too much. And try not to trouble yourself either. Zhou Yanli said nothing. He has lost a lot of weight. And the pride in his gaze has long vanished. The last time I saw him was on the day we signed the divorce agreement. He struggled to hold the pen and took a long time writing in the name field. After signing, he looked at me, his voice hoarse. Nan Ji. If there's a next life, I interrupted him. Don't say such things. I find it unlucky. His eyes turned red. But he couldn't do anything to me. I picked up the agreement and turned to walk outside. The sunlight was just right outside the wellness center. The lawyer asked me, Mr. Shen, where to next? I glanced at my phone. Lin Runing's monthly deduction reminder has just arrived. The Zhou family's new project has also been successfully signed. I put my phone into my bag and said with a smile, let's go to the beach. After retrieving that seaside apartment, I didn't sell it. I repainted the walls, replaced all the furniture, and filled the balcony with flowers. My parents always said that after my wedding, our family would go see the sea. Over the years, I've been trapped in the mess of debts left by Zhou Yanli. And almost forgot that I also have places I want to go. As the car drove up the overpass, the wind rushed in through the half-open window. I looked at myself in the rearview mirror, smiling brightly. From now on, every single day belongs only to me.